done quite a bit to it though from last time.
Yeah, I remember before.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Waves of Positivity late night takeover on Ramadan FM. I'm your host today from Waves of Positivity, Soulymane, and I have been joined today by a couple of esteemed guests of a local community group called LMA Academy. To my right here, I have got Abdullah sat, and to my left, I have got Bilal. So, Abdullah, if we quickly introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? How old are you? Give us a bit of a background about yourself.
So, at first, my name's Abdullah Sidat. I'm a student at De Montfort University, so I study economics. Got a huge passion for it, but throughout my life, I've also picked up a lot of martial arts. Started off when I was about 15, and then it progressed, hence where I found the gym. That's it mainly. There's a lot of other side quests I do, but I'll keep it brief for now. Keep the mystery.
MashaAllah. And Bilal, can you give us a quick introduction about yourself? Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
Definitely. So my name is Bilal Muhammad. I'm a community boxing instructor, and I'm a qualified teacher. I teach at a school called Keaton Lodge. It's a SEMH school. So yeah, behavior kids basically.
Wow, MashaAllah. Okay, so the purpose of our late night takeovers, our shows, is to engage with people that are working in the community, that are giving back to the community in a very special way, and to find out why they do it, and also to see what lessons we can extrapolate from them and incorporate into our lives. Because at the end of the day, that's what we are, Waves of Positivity. Our goal is to inspire the young adults of the community to take positive lifestyle choices. So without further ado, you guys have a community group called LMA Academy. Can we start by clarifying to us or explain to us, what does LMA Academy mean? What does that stand for?
So very simply, it actually stands for Learn, Master, Achieve. But I think that's just at the crust. I feel like there's a lot more underneath it that goes on, especially behind the scenes. People will most likely just see it as sending your kids to a class and they're coming home and maybe have picked up a martial art at most. But we really want to, like Waves of Positivity, delve into the more mental side of how the youth are operating today and try influence them to make better decisions. Similar to the goal of your own podcast, is correct, and your own group, Ways of Positivity. You're doing great work, by the way. I came to one of your events, I'm sure you remember, not long ago. Was it just before Ramadan? Yeah, and honestly, I was hugely inspired by the way you did the workshop. It was amazing. So LMA is on a very similar level to that. But we love to use mainly sports, especially martial arts, to inspire youth and to also show them a different life to what's on the streets, for example, or what peer pressure, what the modern day norm is going to. As we've seen, I think, I'm not sure how long ago this was, but I'm sure it was about 6-7 months ago when there were 3 almost consecutive stabbings in Leicester. And I'm sure at least 2 of them were youth. And this led to a huge, I wouldn't say a crazy uproar, but it did lead to an uproar where people are actually questioning where's this behavior coming from and what we can do about it. So LMA has always aimed to influence behavior to a more positive side. Okay. And that's why we have a lot of projects going on right now, a lot of new ideas we're trying to bring to the table. I feel like we're still in our early stages and we have a lot to give. But so far, we've done a lot of work, alhamdulillah. We had our Knives Out Lives day with One Nation, the charity. That was a huge success at Spinney Hill Park. So I feel like the LMA, there's a lot to it. But I'd say the main thing is influencing the younger generation to see a more positive perspective in life. That's personally what I feel, only because that's what I experienced myself being at the gym. I'm not sure what Billy feels being a coach on the higher side. I'm sure he's got more insight.
Yeah, it's nurturing them, and from a young age, as Abdullah, he's definitely a product of that gym, and it's somebody that even the youngsters can look up to and see all the sort of the way how he's used martial arts as a way to sort of help him develop himself in all the areas. So it's from a spiritual aspect, from a mental aspect, physical aspect, and it's that development that we sort of we try to keep a close eye on, and having a coach, the kids. It's good for the kids to have something, that they need to sort of have that, how can I say, I don't want to sound like, we're going to overpower you guys and, we're going to guide you and this and that. But it's just somebody that they can sort of depend on and they can talk to. And, and we share our stories, the struggles that we've had growing up. And they can sort of reflect on that and learn from that as well. And you had a great coach, Ibrahim, as well. And, he was an amazing coach. And it wasn't just about the martial arts. It would be about the diniyat, about, the approach of how you to be a good human being as a well-grounded person. And would you agree about that? Like, the little talks that you'd have after, even if it's just something about simple about when can you pray Maghrib time, like we would have conversations about that like all evening. But it was just that extra bit that we sort of try to give to the kids other than the martial arts as well.
Okay. So with LMA, I see that you guys already have a quite, a solid team, a strong team. You've got a group of people around you and you guys are running this together. How did it form? Like, what initiated you guys to say, okay, we want to come together as a group of people and start this initiative? Like, how did it start? What was the roots behind this organization?
I would say from a community perspective, when you break the words down, that the common interest and then the unity, everyone coming together. So the fundamental, obviously, we're all there for that martial arts. And then from there, sort of the older guys where, we've had amazing coaches, Coach Arafat. I was one of the first few coaches there as well. And I was sort of, how could I say, when we started off, it was mainly just martial arts. And then we thought, what else can we add onto the table? And I think the help from One Nation helped us a lot, when we're doing our charity work and all of that as well. So when the kids come to us, their parents think that, okay, they're just going to come for martial arts. But we thought, this is not enough. We need to build them in different areas of their life. And then that's when, the adult could, like me, Arafat, and we'd start doing other projects, like we do like fundraisers, for instance, and teaching the importance of charity to the kids. And I'm sure Abdullah has seen some of the boxing exhibitions and things like that we would do. And you would just sort of build from that. Yeah. And now, alhamdulillah, as Abdullah rightly said, we're in the early stages where we want to really grasp and sort of continue that work on youth development now.
I see this a lot, and I think many organizations begin in this fashion, whereby you have an individual or a group of people that fall upon or stumble upon something that they're deeply passionate about, and they just start doing it, whether it's as a job or as a side hustle, but it ends up being something more. Because I went through that journey. I was once a personal trainer. In my gap year and into my years of university, I was a personal trainer. And when I was training people to, lead healthier lifestyles, I realized that it wasn't just about going to the gym. It wasn't just about fitness and lifting weights or moving weights. It was about a lifestyle. It was about a mindset. And I realized that if you're able to tap into people's mindset, you are able to reveal to themselves how much more they are capable of doing.
Definitely.
And that is the magic. It is a person finding their passion and then finding a way to tap into other people's mindsets with that passion. Exactly. For you guys, it's martial arts, which is, very relatable for a lot of young kids. Yes. They're very, very influenced by boxing and MMA and wrestling and all these other kind of violent games and sports that they see. So it's a great way to relate to the kids and bring on this reality aspect. So, hats off to you guys. I think what you guys are doing is good. What is the age range that you guys kind of usually have at your...
So we've got BJJ classes and boxing classes and MMA classes from 6 years young.
Wow.
And then the classes go right up to adults. So we've got, if I just quickly read out some of the classes that we have on offer, let's just quickly get the timetable up.
So how does it work? If someone wants to be part of this, how do they join? How do they start?
So they would just come to the gym and just get a little form where there'll be like medical questions and just general questions about themselves. And then if they're fit and ready to start, they can start on the day there and then. Wow. So there's different classes. So we've got a range from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to Muay Thai, boxing. So I'm just going to quickly read out the timetable so people know exactly what sort of classes we have on offer. So on a Monday, we've got Muay Thai and kickboxing. I think that's for 16 plus. Then we've got a Tuesday class. We've got a boxing with myself, 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Then we've got Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's for adults. And then we've got MMA for 18s plus. Wednesday, we've got open mats, so anybody can come in, and that's for free. So that's another thing that the gym really, it's amazing. Because I run the free boxing classes, and there's also like a free mat session where you can just come in, punch the bags, and that's for anybody in the community. And as I say, we'll talk about it later about the mental health and how that's becoming such an increase in our community, and how the gym has helped a lot of kids and teenagers in the area. Thursday, BJJ again, 5:30 to 7 o'clock. Then the free boxing class, 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. There's a Muay Thai class, stroke kickboxing from 7 o'clock to 8:15. And then there's a MMA class, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock on Thursdays as well. And then Friday nights, we've got the Muay Thai. And then something that we'll talk about more deeply is a youth club that we've launched, and that is amazing, which obviously we'll expand on later. That's from 7:30 right until 10:30. And then Saturday is a jam-packed. So we've got MMA from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. That's for older, so 18 plus. And then we've got Muay Thai, kickboxing from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. That's for ages 6 plus. And then the boxing with myself every Saturday, 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock for ages 6 to, I get mixed up with ages now as well, 6 to 8. And then we've got a class from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock for kids to age 9 to 11. And then another class for teenagers from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock.
Okay, wow, mashallah. So an entire variety of classes and for all age ranges, mashallah. So I guess a common question that many parents or guardians will have is, their child wants to take part in boxing or MMA or whatever it is, and they're young. How do you reassure them if they're worried about their safety coming to these classes? What do you say to them?
So we're all qualified coaches. That's the first thing. So for instance, for the boxing perspective as well, I've done a qualification with the Hatton Academy. So I had to travel to Manchester and do a course there. And we learn how to deliver these classes without any sort of kids getting hurt. Now, the nature of the sport is a contact sport, so there will be some form of contact, and we do get tear here and there, but that's all part of character building. But we obviously make sure we safeguard our kids to the maximum, because that's our main priority. When we're doing the drills, it's always the safest way to do things. We've got mats which are suitable for takedowns and things like that when the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so we're not doing it on hard floor or anything like that, so that's going to minimize any sort of injury. But yeah, everything's done in a very safe manner.
Yeah, we have our first aiders. I think our biggest strength in this aspect is not just the fact that our staff are all qualified and we've really focused on the gym itself physically, how it is. I think it's more also the culture of the gym. So even before LMA was established, the gym for me growing up was a safe haven. It's that spot you come around. Sometimes you think about coming for the class, but sometimes it wasn't even just about the class. Sometimes it was about what happens after the class. So, you'd have a few of your friends talking, or just general, everyone's friendly, someone's cracking a joke. And it was just that knowing that you could always come into the gym, no matter what day you've had. And this is, I think, what the biggest strength I'd mentioned from my own experience, that a child can come in and truly feel safe, especially nowadays with all the hard times going on, the younger generation with social media and depression. It's not easy. I personally don't think it's easy being in the younger generation and growing up. So I feel like that's our biggest strength, alongside everything Billy's mentioned. That's more from the practical side. I think our biggest strength is just the culture. For example, Billy himself, the other coaches, I can mention Soul, for example, they're all very, and I don't mean this to just say it on microphone. This is my own testimony. They are very friendly guys. No matter what age you are, you can come in and they will be, oh, hi, what's your name? What's going on? Don't worry about this. Okay, you need to maybe just cover your shoulder a bit more. You cover your chin with your shoulder a bit more, or do this, that. It's very easy to feel, because as with martial arts, I feel like with a lot of gyms, there's a huge stigma walking into a martial arts gym. Even from my own experience as a martial artist, you'll go into a gym and you will be questioning a lot of the looks people are giving you, because it's a contact sport, and there's also an element of ego that a lot of people seem to face. So you'll be there looking and thinking, is that guy gonna punch me? Is that guy gonna kick me? Is that guy gonna, I don't know, I'm not feeling the most safe right now. I think the greatest strength of our gym is that no matter who you are, you can come in and you will feel safe. And that's something I've experienced. I'm not speaking of, this will happen, don't worry, it'll just happen. I'm saying this from my own experience.
How long have you been going to this gym?
So I came before LMA was established, previously when it was a private gym. I started about when I was 15 years old. So even Billy himself, I'm sure he remembers when I was a young child during GCSEs coming in. And I'd say a lot of the time, especially with studying, when I had a lot of studying to do, things would get stressful. So martial arts would be my time to come and relax and also get myself in shape. So this is what I experienced a lot myself, because I've actually got really like a funny backstory. But me starting martial arts was, I was actually forced by my brother. So what happened was, he said to me, he's like, oh, this is martial arts gym, this and that. I've gone myself a few times. You should go. And I said to him, no, I'm not going. Who am I to go? Do you think I'm a guy that's going to be like punching someone or something? Like, it's just not me. Then he said to me, look, come once and try it out. If you don't like it, I won't ever force you to go again, but I'm forcing you to come once. So I came once and I enjoyed it. Then by the time I was going a second time and a third time with him, then he even said to me, he's like, you know, you don't have to go with me. Just go whenever you want. So by the time, I started going myself. And after that, I never looked back. Because once I realized that martial arts is more about respect and defeating yourself rather than defeating anyone else, it made me see past everything, like the stigma that most people have with martial arts. Not just younger people, even older people. It's very hard to walk into martial arts gym. I say the first step is the hardest, just walking in more than anything else.
No doubt. Whenever you're trying something new, there's that anxiety, there's that barrier, that mental barrier that you need to overcome. Like you say, once you've taken that step over that barrier, you're in. And you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it and move on to the next thing and go over the next barrier. For you, since you started this journey of martial arts and being part of LMA, what is the most profound life lesson that you've learned? So I don't want to know the best grapple move you learned, yeah, or the best combo you learned. Yeah. I want to know what's the best life lesson you've learned or picked up.
If you said grappling move, I said a Japanese necktie. I learned that lately, and it's honestly amazing. You should Google it, by the way. But no, so the best life lesson I'd say one thing I've learned for sure. There's honestly so many. But I'd say one thing I've learned for sure is consistency. When it comes to discipline, it's easy to say, because I've had moments like that myself as a martial artist, as a human, where I'll be in the gym 6 days a week for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and I think, oh yeah, I'm on track to becoming something amazing. But then you realize, okay, you've got out of martial arts, you got life outside of martial arts, and now other things are creeping in, and they're all fighting for time in your week. So it's not easy. But I think the analogy that's perfect for this is the same way the weathering of a rock happens. If you just pour a bucket of water on a rock, it's not going to do anything to it. But if you have a drop and you're just letting it drop one by one in the same spot, drop, then you'll start to see effect on the rock. And I believe that's the same with yourself. So I believe the consistency you have to give has to be, like, even, for example, in the BJJ class, I remember one of the blue belts in our gym, he was saying that I understand if your life gets busy. And he's a father, he has, if I'm correct, I'm not sure, I'm sure he has like 3-4 kids, mashallah. He's got his own job, he's got his own home life. He was even saying that sometimes when you get busy in this sport, because it's not easy committing, he said sometimes even that once a week, but staying consistent on that once a week beats coming in 5 times a week for 1 or 2 weeks and then going home.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I feel like that's the lesson I learned the most, because I really started to see growth the more consistent I was. And on times where I'd like even break off for a month and come back, I feel like that rust sets in heavy. It sets in heavy. Even if you're spending 2 weeks to get rid of it, they're going to be a hard 2 weeks. They're not going to be easy. So I feel that's probably one, that's more of like I'd say a life kind of lesson. But if you're looking for more deeper philosophy, I've honestly, there's so many you've actually left me. It's like that question, someone asks you like, oh, what's your like favorite book? Or like, they ask you what's your favorite movie? And it just there, your mind just goes like, oh, I can't even think of one. That's honestly what you asked me, because there's been so many years. But there's just one thing that I think I've definitely learned and that's always stuck with me for sure. Because even when I took breaks for my studies, the rust sets in heavy.
No doubt.
Sets in heavy.
That's amazing, mashallah. From your perspective, Bilal, can you share a story or something that you've witnessed or experienced in someone that you've coached, maybe a child that you've coached or an adult maybe that you've coached, where you've seen a drastic transformation, whether you've seen it for yourself or they've told you, look, I used to do this, but now I've left that and now this is what I'm doing. And the reason for it, or one of the main reasons for it, was because of coming to the gym or under your coaching. Can you relate a story?
There's quite a few, obviously, because we've been doing this for a long time. But one that stands out to me is one of my students, Hassan, who came in. He's very quiet, very nervous. He wouldn't communicate. Just very quiet lad. and then stayed on the boxing, as Abdullah said, consistently. And it would be those conversations, you know, what are your interests, and what do you want to get out of yourself, you know, when you leave school. So he was in like year 7, year 8 when he had started, and he would show me his sketchbook, and he enjoyed art, and I'm an art teacher myself, so I'd say, yo, next week I want you to try this design, you know, and he would sort of, you know, come in and we'd have a conversation about the different styles of art, and he would tell me, oh, I tried this, I used watercolors for this one, and you know, it was nice. And then seeing him, and then the boxing side as well, he started to really progress. So I sent him down to another club to turn amateur, and you know, he was progressing well. And then it was just recently when he's come back and he goes, yo, I'm doing a degree in multimedia, and I want to do a video for the gym.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, that's
so he was like almost like
skills. So he's still using that graphicals, that art skill that we spoke about. And, you know, obviously I told him about the different options that he can have using the graphics that he wanted to go into at GCSE, and different types of careers that he can go into. And then now he's doing like the media sort of for the gym, and it's nice to see that.
No, that sounds amazing. I've always said that one of the greatest signs of success for any type of organization, especially a social enterprise, is when the people who came through the system now want to give back to the system, because they've been through it and they see the value, they've experienced the value, and they want to come back. So it's, you know, for you, because I know I've experienced it, and I know for you, you must have had that feeling of like, wow, like you've been a part of his life, you've been a part of his journey, and now he's coming back. He wants to give back to the kids that are now younger.
And it's empowerment. It all comes down to empowerment, how we empower the youth, and, you know, finding those little skills and qualities that they have that they might not so apparently see, and it's our job to sort of find that spark and really expose that the character that we see, that you know, the potential that they have, and then really sort of nurturing them and building them and showing them different opportunities and how they can really hone and develop that character or skill. And it's our job to find those opportunities for them as well as obviously independently for them to go choose and see. But we're there to sort of also guide and support and find them links with Leicester College, or if it's a little apprenticeship down the road, or if it's a company that's recruiting for an apprentice graphic designer, whatever it is. So being resourceful is very important as a coach.
All it takes is a spark to light a fire in someone else.
That's it.
We've got some messages in from the people, from the community. We got one saying, well done, Bilal and the team. Someone else saying, well done, LMA team. You went from the gym nearly being closed down to running multiple sessions and youth clubs. You've all worked so hard together and put the community first and our children at the heart and center of everything you do. You all make so much time for the youth, and it's clear all the passion you have. MashaAllah, such a nice message. Someone's asked, is there any plans for women and young girls classes going forward? That would be a really good opportunity, going to also include young girls. That
is something. So for this coming year, one of the targets for the gym is to promote more martial arts and fitness for women and girls. So we do girls classes on a Sunday anyway, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Let me just double check the timetable and what time that is. And in the boxing sessions, every Saturday, 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock, we also hold a girls lesson. But as I say, that's something that we want to develop, and we're looking for a female coach. So if you are a female coach out there that's into martial arts, or even just general fitness, and you want to sort of learn martial art from one of us guys, and you can teach it to our kids, then that it would be amazing. But let me just quickly let you know about the BJJ class, the girls BJJ class. So that's from 2 o'clock. Let me just double check. 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock on a Sunday, and then there's, I think that's the one. So on a Sunday, 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock.
Okay, so it's something that you guys have started, and you're looking to develop it. And
we need to get more teenage girls.
Yeah. So if there's anyone out there, any female coaches in boxing or mixed martial arts or personal trainers or anything of the sort that want to help the community, help the female youth in the community, then you can reach out to LMA Academy and get things going, inshallah.
Sorry, I just received a message. It's Sunday 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock for the girls.
Sunday.
Jiu-Jitsu, so Sunday 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. If anyone else wants to message in or call in, you can call in on 0116 482 2086, or you can also text on 077 488 55055. So I've got an interesting question for you guys. Because it's something that I always ask myself. It's something I always reflect on when I'm thinking about my own organization and my own community. Let's fast forward 10 years down the line. You walk into LMA Academy, whether it's the same building you've currently got or a different location, whatever it is. Describe to me what you imagine or wish to see, hear, and feel when you walk in.
I like that. Abdullah, you want to go first?
This question always gets people thinking.
I feel like with this question, I don't even think the sky is the limit. I feel like there's a lot we can inspire the youth to do. And just heading back on one of my previous coaches, Ibrahim, who inspired me a lot, is I think the most beautiful thing about his vision is that he wanted anyone to come into the gym, anyone. When I say anyone, and he wanted them to better his lives, and that was his aim. And I feel like that's the true ethos of the gym. No matter how many students we have, or how many people have, or whatever scale we're on, we want every single person benefiting.
Okay, that's a great answer.
Mhm.
But go back to the question.
Yeah.
You walk into this academy. What do you wish to see, hear, and feel?
So what I want to see is much more bigger classes. I want to see more variety of classes for sure. Because I feel like, especially with martial arts, what we're teaching right now, we're already teaching quite a comprehensive amount of classes, but I feel like we could do so much more. For example, there's judo, and even if it's not even martial arts, maybe, who knows, even some other sports maybe too. We'll see it near the time. But I feel like we could definitely have a larger variety of classes going on. And I also want to hear more workshops.
Yes.
Like yourself, I've come to one of your workshops.
Me the eye.
And if I'm being honest, I feel like you've actually inspired me with this one. Because I remember coming to your workshop and I was sat there and I was just there in the back and I was like, this is something the gym could use. I remember telling Omar, who's another friend of ours, and he was there next to me. And I remember telling Omar, this is some good stuff. We could use this in the gym. So the same thing, I feel like workshops for personal growth, especially for the youth. So I'd say mainly variety of classes and workshops. I'd say them two things mainly. I'd love to see more. And I'd also love to see more bigger facilities, of course. That's with time. We're not on the best financials of now. So inshallah soon, hopefully we can have much, much more. Even as of right now, we really are focusing on building the gym with what we have. But like you said, I want to see more state-of-the-art equipment. And I want to see I think the main thing is bigger classes for sure. I think that'd make me happy. Same with any of the coaches at the gym. It's not about the money. It's more about the fact that we're benefiting more and more people's lives. So I think the main thing I'd say is the people, because I always feel like I've always said this. I feel like the people make the gym more than the gym itself. Especially with martial arts, if you have a proper instructor, a guy who knows his stuff, it shows itself. You don't need fancy mats or fancy bags or something. Trust me, it's a lot about the person himself. So I'd love to see bigger classes, more coaches. More workshops for sure. Really, I don't know about yourself.
Yeah,
Same question to
I
you.
was saying a bit more inclusive. So I want to see some classes for the disability moving forward. Maybe get some extra qualifications under our belt. Where we specialize in working with certain, kids with certain conditions, physical disability. That's something that I want to see. More workshops. You guys, I've already spoke to Yaga about this. So hopefully. In the coming months, if you can get regular workshops, more on a spiritual aspect as well. So having, we have like imams coming in as well. We want to see more of that, and having that sort of interaction, sort of like an informal interaction, and then getting a Islamic sort of perspective on certain problems our youth face, which is very important because for every problem, Islam has the answer to, and we need to sort of really,
Okay, so just before I ask you the next question, we've got a couple more messages. Someone said, mashallah, this is what's needed in Batley. Maybe you guys can expand all the way up north to Batley one day. And another message, someone saying, alhamdulillah, man like Bilal, keep it up, keep it up.
Man like you,
big up, big up. Okay, so you both answered half the question, and I'm going to really, really push you for this answer.
Okay.
When you walk into this gym 10 years down the line, what do you want to feel? The reason I ask this is because I want myself and I want everyone listening to understand what the vision is. I want people to be invested into your vision. And the way people get invested into people's visions is through emotions. So, for example, if someone was to ask me, how would you feel going into your workshop, one workshop that I deliver, how would you want to feel going in? I would want to feel warmth in the air. and a sense of comfort where everyone feels comfortable in asking questions and listening to what needs to be said. So if you were to walk in that gym, what kind of emotions would you want to feel, and what kind of atmosphere and environment would you want to have in an emotional level?
I'd say one thing I definitely want is a form of, I'd say, tranquility. Like I said before, as a gym being a safe haven, I feel like you can really feel it in the air when you walk in the gym. As I mentioned before, what is in the air? You know, if there's someone looking at you weird or something. So I feel like peace, tranquility. That's what I'd made it want to be. But I'd also want there to be like a warmth where it's almost like carefree.
Yeah.
Not carefree as in like people are
not
just running
careless,
over.
but
Yeah,
carefree.
careless, but carefree as in people can come in, I'm
Be
saying
themselves.
I'm
You
saying
don't
this
have to like
metaphorically.
step on eggshells with everything that you can't.
I'm saying this metaphorically, but they can take their shoes off and just walk around. I feel like that's a good metaphor to describe it. You know, they can really feel at home.
One big thing is
I
self-belonging.
love that.
So,
home.
that's one of the ethos of the gym is giving the kids that self-belonging, so they feel like they belong to a team, and that sort of allows the kids to feel, you know what, sometimes. And we have many kids who have come from broken homes, and this is like, as Abdullah said, it's like the safe haven, and they have that sort of a sense of belonging, and that sense of belonging is what's that, Maslow's hierarchy is one of the main things, to go up, and where they can actually have that self-actualization and sort of develop themselves. But if that's not being met, they can't go there. The gym is there as that sort of platform where they can have that sense of belonging, and we'll give them what we can to sort of support them in whatever way we can. Yeah,
I always say in a lot of my workshops, and when I'm kind of in that process of mentoring or giving someone some life coaching, I always say, look, the first thing you need to do is discover who you are as a person. You need to go on that journey of like you say, realizing who you are, like on a very, very deep level. You know, what makes you who you are, what triggers your emotions. Because if you don't have that information, then you're just wandering through life aimlessly. That is your starting point. You cannot progress in life. You cannot get anywhere near your personal end goal in life without knowing who you are, without knowing your start line.
Values.
I feel like another emotion, and this is going to be a bit contradictory to what I mentioned earlier, but I'd say a little bit of intensity too. And the reason why is because...
Sorry, a little bit of?
I want some intensity. And I don't want it to be intense. I'm saying intensity. And what I mean by this is, and especially with Billy's classes, there have been times where I've walked in the gym and I look around and I'll just see like one kid just like jumping and sweating. And I'll see like another kid, just like running. Or I'll see another kid skipping. And when I mean intensity, I think that that kind of ethic, I say, or that work ethic, where you walk in the gym and you feel like you want to work hard. I feel like there's a reason why people perform. I'm a guy who can't study at home. Straight up, I can only study in the library. Because I feel like when I walk in the library, that's when I understand I have to study. When I'm at home, it doesn't work the same. So I feel like it's the same with the gym. In 10 years' time, I'd love to walk in and feel it intense in a way where I'll be looking at the younger generation, even adults, and I'll be looking at seeing them work really hard and think to myself, okay, where do I fit in here? I need to start, I don't know, wearing my gi and start rolling or something. So I feel like at the same time, I want it to be chilled, but I also want that intensity when it comes to classes, because I really want there to be a great ethic. I want there to be progress for everyone, including myself.
No doubt. I love that. We've got some more messages in. Someone saying, mashallah, man like Bilal, keep going with work from strength to strength from Mr. M. Patel, Rushy days. You used to go Rushy Mead?
I taught there. I did my skit training.
Okay, I used to go Soul Valley.
I taught at Soul Valley as well.
No way.
School, man. Yeah, it's funny. They're right behind each other, but you have a whole different.
What years were you teaching there?
From 7 to 11.
No, as in like what year?
Oh, what year was that? 2018. So
okay. I left in 2015. Okay, all right. Ishtiaq Muhammad Bilal has been doing this since he was 12. He's a legend, mashallah. He has a vision and drive to help the kids in the community.
Brother. So a little bit about my brother. My brother's the one that got me into the martial arts. He took me to the first gym, and he's also bought me my first boxing pads. Okay. So I started to train people just on the street using the pads that he had given me as a gift. And from those pads, alhamdulillah, it's just gone from strength to strength, from training into a back garden, and then from there to go to sports lounge, and then from sports lounge to the gym now. So it's it all started off with my brother's efforts.
Is he still involved in this work?
Yeah, he helps me about in anything that we do, when we're doing exhibitions and stuff like that. Like, my brother will always be there to support, wow. We can't do anything without family support, innit, really?
Yeah, no doubt.
And even for the kids, like the kids that really excel in boxing, it's usually down to that parental support where, you know, they're really pushing their kids on that Saturday morning. They don't have to come in on a Saturday morning and actually watch their kids train, and you know, but those, you can see the difference between the way how those kids progress. And a perfect example is that recent signing of that Muhammad Ali from Leicester. Like every time you'll see a picture of him, his dad will be there somewhere in the background, and it's amazing to see that support, you know. And it's something that our community should really aspire to, that family support. It's so important because it really, really helps, and it makes that kid excel.
Absolutely. We've got another message in. Bass Sheriff. Is that a name?
Yeah,
Is that
he's an instructor at the gym.
Okay. You'd want the gym to be welcoming all times of day and night, helping the mind, body, and soul. Train hard, fight easy, not necessarily fighting at a professional level, but the daily battle we face in life. Never quit. Get knocked down or submitted. Get back up and try again. Wow, I feel like I'm watching a Rocky movie here, man. I feel like I've got Rocky in front of me right now.
When he used to play the music.
That's the mindset, and that's something that we want to sort of really embed in our kids on a metaphorical side as well. It's the grit that we want to show, and then the willpower. Those two very key sort of characteristics to have, you know, for success: grit and having the willpower. And as he said, fight at profession. We don't want to necessarily make that. It's a bonus if we do make a champion, but it's that character building. Yeah, and you know, all the problems that you have in life, and you know, martial arts really reflects that in a beautiful way.
You know what? I can completely back what you're saying. You know, in order for anyone to become great or to achieve the highest levels of themselves, they have to go through adversity. Without adversity, you'll always stay the same.
100%.
And the thing is, for many people in the Western world, places like Europe and the UK and America, our lives comparatively to other people around the world are very, very easy. And they're very, very comfortable. I'm speaking generally here. Obviously, people go through their own trials and tribulations and have their own lives. But comparatively to other people around the world, our lives are a lot more comfortable, a lot more easy. 100%. And so going through intense sports and putting your body through physical adversity helps train your mind to go through that development stage that perhaps you are not going through, you're not getting an opportunity to go through. And I learned this lesson myself just a few years ago. So, like I said, my life comparatively to the other people in the world, in third world countries and et cetera, especially when I go back home in Kenya, I see what life is like. Comparatively, it's very, very easy. But one time I put myself through the hardest physical challenge I've ever done. I ran a marathon in Ramadan while fasting. Wow. And it was absolute pain. Like if you've ever run a marathon, like a London Marathon or Leicester Marathon, you know how hard it is. Now imagine trying to run that same distance alone with no crowd cheering on, no one running beside you, just you running alone. No food, no water. And after it, I realized the adversity that I had to put my body through taught me so many life lessons and built that mental resilience, because I had to go through that mental block over and over again. Like every 5 minutes, time to quit, lay down, stop, go home. No one's watching. You can just skip. You can tell people you ran. No one's here. But it teaches you so much when you put yourself through physical pain. And you're doing that out of choice. It's a very vital process that I think every single, especially boys, need to go through. We need that. We have an easy life. We need that. Someone needs to instill that in us. So I think it's amazing what you guys are doing. It looks like you guys got a lot of fans, mashallah. We've got some more messages. Tariq Islam says, amazing to hear the big bro inspired and facilitated the training. Just tuned in, but did you cover how you guys cover costs at LMA?
Yeah, so we've did a fundraiser not long ago. Abdullah mentioned that with the in the park, Spinney Hill Park, where we did the Gloves Up, Knives Down project, where it was all about, you know, how we can reduce murders and, you know, anything knife that's related to knife crime and you know, gang violence and stuff like that. We've also did a boxing exhibition where my kids fought, and we raised money to save the gym as well. But we are still in need now. We do offer a lot of free services, and that sort of covers whatever money that we've raised from that is sort of covering, you know, some of the rent. But that money is obviously running short now. So we're always looking to sort of, you know, get help from companies and the community. Because our aim is to sort of benefit the children and benefit the young people of the community in whatever aspect that we can, in whatever way that we can. So, you know, if there's companies out there that do want to sort of sponsor our gym, or, you know, even just individuals in the community that want to, please feel welcome to messages and contribute, because, you know, it goes a long way and in supporting these kids in our area.
So the people that are there that have been listening to what we've been saying so far, you've been hearing all these amazing messages, you've been hearing the story from these guys. So if anyone there wants to support or sponsor the gym in any way, then, you know, contact LMA Academy on Instagram and speak to them. You know, they're doing great work for the community. The Prophet ﷺ said that the best of people are those that serve the community or are best to their people, or do khidmah of their people. And that is essentially what you guys are doing. So this work is very noble work, especially when you are nurturing and catering for the youth and you know, trying to keep them in the right path. So if there's someone out there that wants to support or help out or sponsor, make sure you reach out to LMA Academy. We've got another couple of messages. We've got Imran Hasmani, mashallah, mashallah, I have seen Bilal and team grow. Inshallah, you carry on and get more success, inshallah.
I mean, another parent started off in the garden as well, and his son is absolutely smashing it as well. So yeah.
Salams, just want to say how proud we are of Bilal. So young and accomplished, so much, alhamdulillah, a role model to many, from boxing in a backyard to mashallah a gym, and now LMA Academy. Keep up the good work. Always remember your intention, as intention is key.
Intention, niyat, big.
Yes.
And sometimes it's important that, and you were talking about ego as well, and, you know, when people are praising you and all of this, and, you know, you're doing good things, and with the kids, even when I'm giving them the, obviously we work a lot on positive encouragement and, you know, positive words, and sometimes we have to make them realize that, you know, what you were saying, consistency. There's no point just doing good thing just one time. What more can you do for the akhirah as well? If you know, when you're teaching the kids about doing good stuff, what more can you do? How can you better yourself to help others? And that's something that, you know, that will be consistent throughout until the end of time, until I die. I want to, what can we do better? There's always room for improvement. What can we do?
I think that's heavily ingrained in martial arts itself, because I think the most beautiful thing is the fact, one thing I've realized whilst doing martial arts is, you think that you've reached something, and then it's almost like you literally get punched in the face. Like, for example, I remember I was training, I was doing some drills and training under a coach who's like amazingly good. And he was saying to me, like, I was training, I remember thinking, oh, yeah, I've got this drill on the locks. I've done it perfect. Yeah, I'm there, you know, doing it, trying to get more speed to it. I'm like, all good. I just remember him coming to me and he pointed out like 3 tiny mistakes. And they're the most smallest things, but they had the biggest effect. Most people to the naked eye wouldn't even see it, but it's that wisdom. And I think that's the beauty, that he really keeps you humble, because you're always chasing perfection, but that perfection never really comes. And it's like you're just on this road and you're just taking every step. You're not thinking much about the destination. You're just taking every step. And I feel that's the most beautiful thing when it comes to inspiring the youth as well, and keeping them humble.
Keeping them humble always. There was a quote that a person may commit a sin, and as a result of it, the person enters paradise. A person may commit a good deed, and as a result of it, the person enters hell.
This was a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ.
I'm not sure if it's a hadith, but it was a quote I just save as my background, but this conversation just reminds me of that. It says how, so a sin may result a person entering into paradise because of the remorse and regret that follows. Obviously, merciful Allah, and we ask for forgiveness. But a good deed may result a person entering into hell because of the ego and arrogance revolved around it. So sometimes when we get all hyped up and, you know, we start showing, and that martial art should humble yourself and say, no, there's always room for improvement. Because when you, Abdullah will tell you, when you're in sparring and stuff, you know, you get shown, man.
You know, Billy, the best one is, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but you'll get that rare occasion where even a beginner will land a jab on you.
It happens. It just humbles you. Seriously, humbles you.
And then you just look and you'll be like, bro, did I just take a jab on the beginner?
Take your mitts up and walk out.
So it's just always
this thing that you were mentioning just a while ago about continuous improvement, right? It coincides with the religion in profound ways. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Waqi'ah, He mentions about 3 groups of people on the Day of Judgment. There will be the people who stood on the left, who are unsuccessful, the people who are stood on the right, who are successful, and there'll be a group of people who are called the Sabiqun, and they will be stood at the front. Sabiqun means forerunners, and the reason they are kept aside, they have their own special group, they are the forerunners because they are always competing in goodness. These people are the ones like, okay, I done this, but what can I do better? My friend done this, he's inspired me, I want to do that, but I want to do it better. And that is the behavior of the Sahaba, and that is the behavior that we need to adopt. So we learn it from the sports, but it's about how do we implement, exactly what you guys are doing, how do you implement it in day-to-day lives? How do you implement it in your community? How do you implement it in your ibadah, in your salah, in your worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Definitely. We've got people asking about your activities for the youth on Fridays.
Yeah, so that was something that I did mention. I'll talk about it a bit, and then obviously Abdullah will also expand on it because he volunteers on the nights as well. So it's a free session for 16 plus, and we've got pool tables, PS5, we've got ping pong. Myself, we do a bit of pad work. We've got access to all the punch bags.
We've got carom boards now as well.
Carom boards, we've got all sorts going on, and we get alhamdulillah good numbers, and we want to continue that. But obviously, as I mentioned before, we can only continue these free sessions if we get that support from the companies and the local community. Abdullah also does a bit of the Brazilian jiu-jitsu and other mixed martial arts. He can talk a bit more about that, and because I see on the Friday nights the kids absolutely love it in that cage. Like
crazy.
It's crazy. Like they get a very good sweat out.
Your boys naturally enjoy wrestling. You know,
trust me.
You put 2 boys together, they're wrestling. There's nothing
wrestling.
you can do. There's nothing you can stop. Nothing can stop them. They're going to wrestle.
I got a good question. Like every young person who's been madrasa, you're telling me you haven't had wrestling when the Maulana's walked out of the class.
Have you guys ever been Grenada Mosque in Birmingham?
I've heard a lot about it. I need to go. I've had a lot.
Basically, so in Ramadan, Tarawih nights, I went there last year, and it's an amazing vibe. Firstly, Tarawih there is mashallah amazing. Soon as the salam goes for witr salah, and the Tarawih and things ended, all the boys, you just see them all stand up and they all run into the next hall. You go in the hall, all the boys are running around and just wrestling. Like full on wrestling. Like literally arm bars, the whole everything. It's such a sick vibe, mashallah. But anyway, sorry, you were saying?
I feel like the best thing that parents should understand about kids is that aggression is a very natural thing. And I feel like it should be embraced. You know, aggression is like, especially for men, it's needed. And wrestling is one of the best ways to have like an outlet for this. When I've supervised, like I've seen a lot of kids come in and they've had no martial arts experience whatsoever. They're just coming in and they're having a good time with their friends. And I see them like having an interest or spark that, okay, they want to learn. Or sometimes I'll show them, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that right, or you're doing this good. And there's already progression happening without them even attending a class. So I feel like the youth clubs are a huge benefit, especially because we also have qualified youth workers. And I feel like we also have a lot, like array of kids. We don't just have like the same types of kids coming. We have so many different types of people coming. The best feedback, one feedback that we've gotten is parents were saying that kids are much more calmer at home. Because they're allowed to come to the gym and have like an outlet. When they go home, they're more relaxed.
They're not agitated.
Yeah, they're not agitated. Especially because as kids, whenever they're going through problems, they can. It's like you're on the kettle. You know, they're steaming up.
At the end of the day, what it is, emotion is energy. If you're not utilizing that energy, it's going to come out one way or another. So it's better to come out in a controlled environment or in a positive outlet, because it's going to come out. And if you don't let it out, or if it's restricted.
Self-control is something, and that's what discipline, that self-control. Even when we're doing our sparring, and it comes back to that safety thing, like we make sure that self-control is one of the number one things that we sort of engrave into our students. So that doesn't necessarily just mean from the fighting perspective as well, but the way how we use our tongue. How are we controlling our tongue? How are we controlling our ears? What are we listening to? So self-control is massive, massive, massive. And again, it's that whole thing about that, metaphorically speaking, from how martial arts and real life and the self-control that we use in that martial arts, because there'll always be, when we're sparring somebody that might be that's less able or less experienced, we have to use that self-control to sort of match that person's ability, but then also use that to improve that other person. And you don't want to sort of discourage that person by imposing that. So self-control from a martial arts, but then also that self-control outside the gym, trying to control them desires, trying to control whatever type of, we all have, our nafs, and we have all these desires that we have, and having control over that, it's massive. And martial arts also sort of promotes that.
One experience I've had, for example, when I've just been supervising them come in the youth club and just wrestle and grapple, is I've seen some kids they'll maybe know one move, maybe they've seen it on UFC or maybe they've picked up from somewhere, and they'll keep spamming that move and they'll be beating people, and I'll be like, okay, good. Then I'll say to them, okay, you can't use that move anymore. Then they start thinking. Then they're like, what? No, they'll throw it. I'm like, no, you can't use that move. If I see you do that move, then you're going to fight me, and that's something else. then I'm like, okay, now I want to see you work. And then I see them start thinking. And then I tell them, look, his legs are open or something. And like you were saying, I feel like there's so much you can open their eyes to. And a third-person perspective is huge for your growth. Even when I do martial arts myself, a coach's advice is something sometimes you'll never see yourself. You'll always finish a spar and you'll think, oh, I did this amazing, I did that amazing. And the coach will say, you did this wrong. Or even mid-spar, he'll look at you and be like, you're not working the body. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. And he'd be like, oh, how did I forget about that? I remember there was one time I had a whole lesson. It was like a one-to-one with the coach about timing the lead leg in boxing. And I remember I went to spar someone, I think a day or two after. And we finished the whole session. The coach just looked at me and he's like, yeah, you did well, but did you time the lead leg? And I looked at him and I was like, I completely forgot about that. And he's like, come on, you did. I told you your whole lesson. You should remember that. So the continual growth, like Billy was mentioning, is honestly so spot on. There's so much to be learned for everyone. We're all just empty cups, honestly. You can't fill a cup that's already full.
Have you guys been operating throughout the month of Ramadan?
Yeah.
What have you been doing for Ramadan?
I've been doing the boxing sessions. So it's a bit less high intensity and less intense. And we do light sparring, but also we do the tarawih at the gym. So after tarawih, we literally just use the gym equipment and do a bit of boxing and stuff like that as well. So the gym's open till I get off at about 11:30. These guys are there till about...
We stay for the after party.
Till about 1. You'll see people playing pool, people sparring, hitting the bags. And yesterday there was just like about 7 people grappling. So I was like, I'm sure Abdullah was there as well, just like grappling away. So yeah,
just having a little Royal
Rumble, yeah, as we do. So the gym's been active still throughout Ramadan as well.
We're coming to the end of the show. So I always like to end off by asking my guests if they have one piece of advice that they can share to the world, what would it be? And I know it's a very hard question to answer, but you've got 1 minute.
I've got one. I'd be like, don't be afraid of yourself. And what I mean by that is I feel like we've set so much mental barriers or mental walls in our head. And my coach, for example, he used to tell me sometimes, he's like, oh, just because you're a brown lad walking around doesn't mean you can't do great things. Just because you're this doesn't mean you can't do great things. Honestly, he used to tell me, remove these barriers from your head. Why are you thinking that? Why are you thinking that? And he used to work on me. I feel like that's the biggest thing. Don't be afraid of whatever mental barriers you set in your head. You need to overcome them. Wow. And I think like the first step is just coming to the gym, very simply.
I love that, mashallah. Bilal, you had one piece of advice.
Be your best in everything that you do. Try your hardest so there's no regrets, and put the rest of it in Allah's hands. Is it tawakkul?
Tawakkul,
man. Tawakkul is too important, man.
Tawakkul, for me, the way I look at it, or the way I define it in my head, is the undying belief that no matter what happens to you, what situation you're put in, there is khair in it for you, even
Definitely,
if
100%.
you cannot find it and no one else in this world can find it.
Allah knows.
You believe that there's goodness in it.
That's it.
Well, that's been our show tonight. Waves of Positivity Late Night Takeover. Make sure you follow us on all our social media, on our Instagram, Waves of Positivity Official, on Twitter, WAP Official. We've got many things coming up. We've got our barbecue tomorrow at Iftar and late night barbecue Uppingham Road, Sheikh House. Make sure you guys come down, have your Iftar there, have your post-Tarawih meal there. Have a good time. We've got the punching bag there as well. So make sure you guys come down, show your boxing skills. Inshallah, it'll be good to have you guys there. And on Sunday, we'll be at Sheikh House Oadby. It'll be more for kids' activities. It'll be face painting. There'll be mehndi, some colouring activities for kids. So if you guys are in that area, make sure you come down Sheikh House Oadby on Sunday. And this has been LMA Academy. Jazakallah khair for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Just very quickly, I'd just like to promote the socials. So LMA_Academy is for Instagram and for Twitter. That's all we've got right now, if I'm sure. So if you're looking for any further information, don't hesitate to drop a DM or check our page out.
Thank you for being a great host.
Yeah, Jazakallah khair, honestly.
Yeah,
This is a
No,
great
no,
space.
it made us feel comfortable. So that's one of the feelings that we want in the future of the gym. So this time we might have to put you on board and take you on
No,
board
look,
and
look,
the
look,
LMA as well.
No
man.
doubt, inshallah,
Yeah,
there is
inshallah.
the intention to come down and visit you guys and perhaps host some kind of workshop
Yes,
or
definitely.
deliver some value
Yeah.
for your members. You know, it'd be a great honor for us, no doubt, inshallah.
Look forward to it.
But again, from me, thank you guys for coming on. Appreciate you guys coming on late at night. Apologies for the changes in times, but it means a lot to me. Jazakallah khair for the conversation. And inshallah, I look to see you guys grow and expand further and become more successful. May Allah grant you guys the best in this world and the best in hereafter. Jazakallah khair. Salam.